talking about tracking your time. So, I started reading a book just the other day. And if you're a personal development junkie like me, you are always looking for information. And I stumbled across this book from someone that I follow on Instagram. And it is written by Lauren Vanderkam. And the book is called I Know How She Does It. Now, there was a really popular movie with Sarah Jessica Parker in it that was a rendition of a book called I Don't Know How She Does It. Basically, it was about an overworked working mother. It was a really good movie, and I think it's a funny spin on that book title with Lauren's book title, I Know How She Did It. So essentially, the book is based on how many hours we're actually working. And it was very interesting because I thought, you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm going to track my time for an entire week and see how it shakes out. Now, one thing that this exercise will teach you is immediately what you're wasting time on. So if you like to scroll social media, if you're always checking stories, if you're, losing traction on something else because you get distracted by the TV or the laundry, whatever it may be, these time logs are going to show you exactly where you're losing momentum. And I think that's the most important part about these time logs is that when you look at your time, now I printed the one that's every 15 minutes, but they do have one that's every half an hour, and you can download that information from her website. But it's very interesting because what I did was I didn't just do work and home, which is what she suggests in the book, but I did it based on business. How much time I'm spending on each business, I think is important because I want to make sure that they each get their own time, but also they're completely different. So I don't need to spend as much time on some as I do the others. And depending on the time of year, things can fluctuate as well. So following along with these time logs, when I look back, I'm just like, wow, there is a ton of stuff that I can see right here where I'm losing time, where I need to focus, making sure that every single thing gets done every single week. This was a really eye-opening experience for me, and I encourage you, if you are feeling like I'm not getting it all done, I feel like I don't have enough time in the day, you leave work with all these tasks undone, and you don't understand where your time is going, I think it's very important to record your time as she recommends because you're going to be like, whoa, what the heck is going on? That's why I don't feel accomplished when I leave work every day. Here's exactly where I've lost 2, 3, 4 hours. This log really helped show me how many hours a night I'm actually sleeping. Now, if you're like me, you're not probably getting as much sleep as you could be. And by looking at these logs, it really does show that I'm getting 8 hours of sleep, which I think is appropriate. But based on the day, sometimes I need more. And that's okay because then you can see by my log, I tend to work a little longer. However, I will say that the morning is my time of genius. And so it's important that you know that because some people are night owls, some people work better in the evening. Whatever the case may be, having these logs really shows you the importance of time and how to use it. Another thing that's really great about this book is she gives you strategies of how to get more time back in your day. She talks about split schedules. So, of course, this book is targeted toward working mothers, but if you don't fall into that category like I do, you'll still find value in this book. What's great about it is those strategies that she gives you can really be tailored to anyone's schedule. She talks about doing a split schedule. So maybe you leave work a little bit earlier, but you come home, spend time with your family, and then you jump on your computer for a couple hours after the children go to bed. It seems very common, but she shows how to redistribute your time so you are not giving up important family time, but also making your business work. As well as doing this time log for a whole week can show you just exactly where you're spending all your time. You can create these time logs yourself. Like I mentioned earlier, I chose the one that was every 15 minutes, but you could definitely do it every half an hour, every hour, depending on your work schedule. You could create one in Google Docs, or you could just jump onto her website. She's got multiple resources that are available to you, and I think it's a really good download. One really powerful part of the book is where she talks about interruptions are not considered breaks. So here's a quick insert from that book. If you check your Facebook profile just 5 times a day and you spend no more than 10 to 15 minutes each time, you've already lost an hour. And what about your mail? What about phone calls? Or look at the big picture. What about the time that kindergarten was closed or your cousins came to town? The worst thing is that interruptions are not breaks. They merely tire you more because they are not planned and because they constantly leave you behind schedule. That is key. Because I think a lot of times when people take a lunch, run to the restroom, check emails, switch tasks, do something that distracts you from the current project, the current focus work that you're doing, that will push things further and further back. So, those distractions within an 8-hour workday could actually lead you to working more than 14 hours a day, which is crazy when you think about it. That if you just had that focused work for a short amount of time, you could get that task done that has been bogging you down this entire time. Now, there's a couple of other things that she mentions in this book, which I think are the most important. So, number one is starting with your toughest task of the day. If you've read that book, Eat Your Frog, that book is solely focused on getting the biggest, scariest, ugliest project, whatever the thing that you keep procrastinating away, that's what you get done first up in your day. Get it done, get it over with. You'll feel a huge relief, and then you can move on to everything else that you've got going on. Number two is manage your meetings. Now, if you've ever worked in corporate America, you know that there are so many meetings that are held that could just be emails. So she mentions about scheduling meetings at odd times, such as a meeting is going to last for 22 minutes versus a standard hour. That in your calendar makes it appear that this is going to be a very focused meeting. You're going to be in, you're going to be out, and move on with your day. So if you had 60-minute meetings and you even shortened them by 15 minutes, that is a huge amount of time that you've just gained back. Now, number three is something that I do all the time, which is making commitments with your free time. So, in your calendar, whatever you're going to be doing that is most likely considered personal time, I'm still booking it into my calendar so it blocks it off. Now, my calendar is open to all of my clients so they can schedule whenever they want. And this is even more important for me because if I don't block out that time, then someone else is going to jump in and schedule an appointment. Creates this frustrating process where I have to reach back out to them, try to reschedule. It's just a mess. So it's better if I just block that time out, whether it's personal, work, or a task that I'm working on my calendar. It just makes things so much easier. Now, number four is something that I talk about all the time. It's about planning your week ahead of time, sitting down on whatever your Sunday might be, looking at your week, mapping out everything that's going to happen, what you're going to do, taking a look at all your projects list. What tasks are you going to accomplish this week? Because if you just go into your week by the seat of your pants, by the end of the week, you're going to feel like you haven't accomplished anything because you're basically going to be just putting out fires all week. You don't want to do that. Make sure that you're sitting down, make time to schedule your week out so that way, even if there is fires, you can manage those accordingly and get back on task, get back to your focused work so you don't have to work an extra 8 hours. Now, number five, find your drive. I meet with a lot of people that are currently in a regular job that they've been working at for a really long time, but they know they want more. They want to start a business, they want to create something else in their life, whatever that might be, whether that's corporation, nonprofit, doesn't really matter. But we all know what it's like to go to a job where you're unfulfilled, unhappy, and you just don't want to do it. Creating that extra time by being focused work, your daily job, will give you enough time to focus on something else. So if you are interested in creating that side hustle, creating that other job to replace your current job, by getting focused and scheduling out that time on your calendar, will give you the ability to make that happen. One thing that I thought was really encouraging in this book is she reminded us that we need to be mindful of family time. So when we look back at the memories in our lives, we're not thinking about that big work project that we completed or those accolades that we got at work. It was most likely time spent with family, your children, whoever that might be to you. It's important to remember that that is what's most important. That yes, work is a great thing to have, but also family time is the most important thing that we will remember when we look back on our lives. She reminds us that there is a big difference between being around your family and spending time with your family. and only one matters. We've all been to those family functions where someone cannot disconnect from their phone. They're having a conversation with you, but they're looking down at their phone the whole time. That's not helpful. No one enjoys that. So you want to make sure that you can do your work during your workday and then be done. A couple last things that I want to leave you with that she mentions, which I think are super important. There's a couple key points that I am definitely going to implement into the way that I do business, into my life. And those are, there is enough time. You just need to change your daily schedule. The second one, nobody's perfect, and nor should we dream about being perfect. It's just not going to happen. We need to cut ourselves a break, give ourselves some grace, and realize that now so we can focus on the things that are important and ways that we can manage our daily schedule so that we have more time to spend with family and focus on the work that we love and brings us joy.